2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, get that other hand. We'll hold it there. Yeah, so this side has to. 1, 2. Lower, lower, waist high. 3, press. Get on top of it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, close. Okay. So anytime you do a wrist block, make sure you soften the wrist. That's called seating the wrist. In Tai Chi, it's the same thing. You set the seat the wrist. That actually creates a structure. You know, anytime your wrists and fingers are involved with a movement, when it gets into a certain position, it's creating the next structure. And that structure is, you know, something that you have to learn as a muscle memory as you're going through all the different structures. You know, this is only one of the numerous ones that are within the transition. So the more parts of your body that move, then the more subtle positions they're in within that same motion. So when you're covering your body, like while you're covering here, you're turning, 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 turning. So as you're turning, the strength of the movement is changing. Otherwise, that's dead strength. The live strength actually is evolving, sort of molding into what the next position is going to be. So that is an adaptation. You're adapting to what's the next final position. And that is something that you have to sort of discover, but you can get to see it when you see the move. If I show you like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, you see that there's something going on. If I just go, then you don't even know if there's anything in between, right? So part of understanding, and this is what I do, is it's just sort of a verbal communication, and you just house that information. That's all you're doing. Now, I do a lot of this in these classes mainly so that you've heard it. And if you're teaching, whether you use these ideas or not, it doesn't matter. But 20 years down the way or 10 years down the way when you are teaching, you might say, you know, realize that there's a value to that. You know, a lot of the things that I talk about came from my teacher, but the thing is, you know, he hasn't been here for many, many years, but it's still coming out as echoes in my head, and then when it echoes, I kind of reflect it out. So those are theories, you know, they're concepts. So it's very important to understand those concepts, because body movement, you know, without the strategy and the principle behind it, leaves it empty. And you know, at some point when you have to teach and you say, well, Peng Li Chi, An, or ward off, roll back, press and push, he said, you know, I've never heard that before. He never really talked about that. And then you're going to have to go research it when you finally have to bring up those ideas, and then it's going to like have to relearn it or try to understand at that point. So it all comes down to the geometry of our positions. The sun line position that we have is called strum the lute in Tai Chi, or it's just your neutral position, or this. That's all that is. That's an on-guard position. When we do all our punching exercises, there's your triangle. You're working off that sun line. Yeah. So triangles are not all equal. There's your triangle. There's your triangle. There's a position for that. It's a tear yin, a side image. If I'm facing you like this, that's square. When I go like this, 45, that's the side image. This is partial side, full side. So all of those are different positions for structural integrity and position. Hunga is one of the few styles that has this side position. You know, Chody foot has it too. But a lot of styles don't use that position. The reason why we use that position, because you elongate your position, and it's a powerful punch in that direction. So it's strong in this direction. The reverse punch is what most people have, and that's this one, and then that is so this and this. So this is like the one in Bangbukun. In Hunga, we would turn it like this, or like this. See, so we have those varying stances that go with those punches because that's the position you're supposed to be in when you actually execute a movement. So why do we practice this punch? You know, when we bake or cover or and then we turn, why would we practice that much? It's not because when someone attacks you, you're going to do this. It's because when someone punches, if you take the side step, then your punch is going to be here. So that's for the angle position to use that punch. You see what I mean? So in the form, it looks like it's just right happening in front. But the angle position is this. See? Now, what do you do in the angled position? You have to step this way in order to follow your opponent. See, because a lot of times when you angle the position, he's going to retract or sink and block, and then his direction of movement could be retreating, and then that's when you have to follow. See, so that's the angle position you follow. So there's, you know, the forms themselves, the mapping of the footwork is already kind of strategic. It's defined as, you know, how you would use it in multiple attacks. When you step back like this, and you step back like this, that's the 45-degree position going back. In Bangbukun, when you're like this, you open the form, you're here, then you angle like this. That's actually agility of foot to move from side to side. That's what you're doing. You know, you're here, then you're here, then you're here. So then you move, you retreat. All of the movements are designed so you have maneuverability. So while the form is only like this, it teaches you from side to side. And you know, something like this, you turn and you step. That's a footwork that takes you from this side, back, I'm here, to this side. That's what you're doing. You're maneuvering around to here. So, because how else do you get? There's only two ways. There's a twist, or one is a cross step. One's a chapbu, one's a xiangbu. So depending on where, but they all essentially come off your cross step. So those are actually reversing sides. So reversing sides, like in this form, when you go like this, you pull, you go to the elbows, you chop, you're like this. In this form, that turning is really changing directions. So, but it gives you an idea of how important footwork is. You know, we focus so much on the hand movements, but they're totally ineffective if you can't move. You have to be able to get to your opponent or avoid. So that's, but you just can't turn and then leave yourself empty. You have to turn when you're here, or you have to turn when you're here. See, so those is upper level coordination. Yeah.
Seems like for Hunga to be effective, or the strategy is really to not be afraid. You actually have to move in, but at an angle.
You move in an angle, or yeah. The natural reaction for someone that throws a hook is to avoid it. So that's okay, but the thing is, when you avoid it like that, doesn't allow you to be in a good position to counterattack. So what's going to happen is it's going to continue to come, and then you get overwhelmed by that. Yeah. So it takes a lot of courage, but when someone hooks, you have to move in and then absorb that. So you have to stop that motion before it has momentum. So I mean, you can do this, or actually this movement, when you do this, or this back fist, when you're like this, that's actually used for hooks. So when he hooks, you're coming in like that. But you don't block the force of his movement. When he throws a hook, it's right here. This is the heaviest, the strongest part of that because of the swing. So the big swing is actually the slowest of the movements because it's traveling such a long distance, right? It's a long distance movement. But if you're in a position and you know this, then that's what you do. Now, if you impact this at this point, it's gonna be, you know. So there's two places that you can hit. You can hit here, which is actually stops it at the root of the movement, or here. Yeah. Yeah. But because you say, well, if he does that, he can't actually throw this one till he gets gat out, because no one goes like this. Right? Right? I mean, but, so everybody says, well, if he does that, he's going to hit you with that one. It's true, but the thing is, you're like this. So, yeah. 2 punches to the ear, yeah. And that's what we... Yeah, 2 punches to the ear. So, but, you know, everything that we're doing, we don't understand it enough, but to get good at it, you actually have to pair off with a partner, and you have to work with them. So maybe, you know, we should work on, one of the things that we used to do is really the double blocks technique. So when you come in and you chun, it's really intercepting a movement that's chun. So you touch and go. I used to call it touching. So when you touch and you go, touch and you go. So that's really how a block really works. I mean, you probably did that movement, right? The double block. You used it in Wei Jiru a lot. Wei Jiru uses that same movement. 1, 2, 3. They used to be like this, you know. But the thing is, it's the same because it came from southern styles of five ancestors, or, you know, that type of thing. So they come in like this, and the idea is to and kick, right? So their hand is like this, that's their body, and then they're pulling down like this. So we do it like this. It's the same exact motion, but the thing is, it depends how stiff you are, depends how fluid you are. But when the hands cross, like the dragon claw, right? We're here, the dragon claw, your hand is here. So this hand is here, that's what's engaging. This hand is here, this hand is here. So that's chun. So it's always underneath. There's a reason why it's not on top. It has to be underneath. You see the difference in the motion? So, yeah. Yeah. What's that? Anytime you chun kill, it's always underneath. And anytime you do a dragon, it's generally from underneath. It's, yeah, it's chun hot kill. Hot is the remove, right? Remove, hot kill. This is called hot kill, removing. So in the first form, you have a lot of removing. This is removing. This is removing. So that removing is that you're switching sides and changing. So when he punches, right? So this is an interception, and this is an interception. Because it was lower, it ended up here. So a lower interception deflection would be like this, see? You see the hand is like this, because my hand is like Bangbu Kun, or, you know, like in the fourth form, Zhenjiang. When you're like this, there's that, there's that. But the thing is, what is, it's the same idea. When your hand comes, it's like that. Do you see how that hand works together in conjunction with the move? So, but you can't, it's not like you're doing this, it's this. That's why one hand is following the other. See? So if he comes in with this, it's like this. If I go like this, it's like this. See, so you utilize that coordination and timing. Now if you throw a front kick, see, it's the same thing. I don't need to like do this. There's a deflection when he kicks, right? See? But
I get you. So he knocks both of us down.
so that's just like that. See? So that gives you an idea. Yeah, it's because you're like this. You're like this, like this, like this, like this, like this. Like this is now like this. See? Deflect. Now this like that. This is like Jade Lady work, shadow, fire, you know.
This seems like the most
Fire.
natural, like after you walk, you just go
It is natural, but most people are tight there. So when they lift up the arm, you know how hard it is for a weightlifter to do Song Gong Sil? This gets tight. Before you even get your hand to there, it feels like it's slow. But the thing is, it's very quick. And you don't lift the shoulder like this. If he throws a high punch, you don't lift like this because you're tight. You actually have to come in like this. See, boom. You just come in, boom. Let it mold. You know. You think you have to move real fast in order to avoid something, but actually when he throws his punch and you take your steps and move around, you don't really need to actually move too quick because you actually slow yourself down. If he throws a punch and I go, try to do that, it's like so excessive. But when he throws his punch and you just take a few steps, it seems like it's exaggerated, but that's actually what you're actually doing. Because when you see it come, you move. There's 3 steps here, right? Trying to do 1 step is already pretty difficult to do. So that's why the shifting of weight, the agility footwork comes from that. Just give you an idea.
Is there any preference to move to the outside versus the inside? Seems like if
When
go
you
on the
when you
outside-
practice, you practice. Sometimes you anticipate, and then you might move in the wrong direction. So you have to have a recovery. Obviously, this is called the outside movement when he throws you. So actually, this is more effective in a sense because he can't do anything. Go on the inside, you have to deal with this side too. So, but it depends on, what technique you. If you're like a Wing Chun person, or you're doing certain, so you want to come in from the center, and then they move to the side a bit. But so a lot of times, like people that do a lot of kicking, they stay in these big stances and it's hard to get in. But the thing is, once you're in, then it's kind of a compromise that for both sides. That person that does a lot of kicking won't like the inside. So a person that doesn't do a lot of kicking will want to be on the inside. If you do, so it's sort of like, you have to use your strength of your technique. So if you try to do the same thing they're doing, probably not going to be as effective. So you have to play your game, right? You fought in Baltimore, not familiar with the conditions, and then they're doing that, so you try to do what they do, but you didn't practice what they're doing, so then you have trouble with it. So you weren't using your strength, to your advantage. So you have to use, your technique to your advantage so that you can. So that's the strategy. Yeah, and how to read your opponent, but that comes from experience. The more experience you have really comes from the more interaction you have with, your opponent or your partner. But, when you train, you have to work these scenarios and say, okay, this is what we got to practice. But you don't just run through that scenario once. You have to set that scenario up and do it over and over again. The military does this. The police do this. They have these tactics, but they have strategies that, the best minds figure out this is what you should be doing. Now, how do you practice it? So they set up those scenarios, and they set up these, and that's what they do. Now they're doing that with, like the school shootings. They have to train, what do we do in 20 seconds? You only have 20 seconds to react, otherwise, it's over. So you have to learn how to do that and practice those drills so it happens over and over again. So sparring or working the timing, if he throws a punch, you work your timing. So when he throws a punch, no, don't throw it over there, because my technique actually works within my space. You throw it over there. I don't need to do it. So you have to work within your strategy of your technique, So your hand movements are all here. When he throws it over there, I'm confused, right? Because I don't have anything over there. Yeah,
You got to be prepared for everything.
Yeah.
Whether he goes,
Yeah.
or whether you have to go.
So it's reactive skill, So when once you intercept, if he pulls back, boom, it comes in with him. It doesn't. If he goes in and he pulls back, no, just pull back. Just pull back. Yeah. If he does that, it's your opportunity. You have a split second. You have a split second to work it. The way the Sifu used to say it was, when you have a split second, dit-dak. Dit-dak. That's all you have. If it's dit-dak-dak, it's over. You already lost your opportunity. So that's how. Yeah. So you have, yeah, that's sort of the timing requirement. Titak. Everything happens titak, 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 titak. If you go titak, tak, it's that you're already
To do anything.
to anything. It's because it's already the rhythm is broken. So you have to respond. You don't defend and then wait to counterattack. You have to defend, counterattack right immediately.
I thought you were saying TikTok.
Titak, titak. Well, titak,
Somebody makes when they
titak. Yeah. So when he throws the punch, you have to at that point you have to go right away. You can't wait because I go like this. He's ready to defend against that. Boom. You see? So that's the idea of how the hands have to move. So when you move, all you just have to, when he goes like this. So, but actually, you're touching the feel. These are your feelers. You're feeling what this. Yeah, it's like you're touching. So you know. You don't like clock someone. You wait. You know the strategy. You get them set up,
yeah.
and then boom. So that's how they. Yeah.
He's only got so many
Occupy the
hands, right?
space.
So many hands and feet.
You know, the samurais cut to the bone right away. The Chinese guy military people would, cut you up a few thousand times and then do the final. Because they didn't have the same, the mental, yeah, to want to kill you with one blow. And that karate is the same way. They only want to kill you with one blow. But we know that one blow could miss. Yeah.
Samurai swords, right?
Yeah. Yeah. They want to cut to the bone the first time. So we kind of pick at it until, okay, so we can bow.
Just in the old days, they probably have so much they try to figure out like all the different strategies.
Yeah, they only lived to 40 though, so it didn't matter. Okay. Yeah, so one of those relays, the guy said, when I wanted to train, I'd go and kick the market warable.